We are all drawn to colors in our everyday life. This applies to book covers as well. In 2024, I tracked the number of books that I read based on cover color. Then I decided to see what the average rating was per color. The results were pretty surprising. I decided to look into this a little more. I wanted to know which cover color I usually rate the highest. I want to compare this to how I feel about these colors in real life. The plan is to read 4 books, all from different genres, and take the average rating to see which cover color I resonate with the most. Here are the ground rules. Rule number 1, no DNFs. I have to continue reading until 4 total books are read. Rule number 2, 4 different genres. Not the same for every video, but no 2 books will be from the same genre. Rule number 3, no sequels unless it is an interconnected standalone series. Which color will come out on top? You'll just have to wait and see. In 2024, I read 17 pink books. My average rating for those books was a 2.8. All of the books that I rated 4 stars and above are currently on the screen, and of these, I only rated 3 of them a 4.5 or 5 star. So, not looking good for the pinks already. And to recap our previous episodes, currently we have blue in first place with a 3.3 average rating and green in second place with a 3.38 star rating. Hey friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me because today we are doing my pink cover color challenge. I'm going to be reading some pink books, giving you my thoughts on them, and seeing where they stack up against the previous books read for this series. Now, I am coming at you having finished this vlog. And first of all, let's talk about how I started reading books for this video in May. It's July, the middle of July. I don't even know what happened. Okay, I don't know what happened. And also, this was a very trying vlog. I feel like it's a very trying vlog. No, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, yeah. Let's just get into it. You'll see for yourself. But know that this takes place from May until July. For various reasons. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, y'all, so I have finished Flirting Lessons by Jasmine Guillory, and I think I am ready to share my thoughts with you on this book. So first off, just to tell you a little bit about it, we are following Avery, who's almost 30. She's fresh off her breakup and tired of always being so uptight and well behaved. She wants to get a hobby, date around, especially women, flirt with everyone she sees, wear something not from the business casual section of her closet, all the fun stuff normal people do in their 20s. One problem, Avery doesn't know where to start. She doesn't have a lot of experience dating men or women, so despite being self-assured at work, she doesn't really have a ton of confidence when it comes to romance. We're also following Taylor, who is Napa Valley's biggest flirt and champion heartbreaker. Taylor just broke up with her most recent girlfriend, and her best friend bet her that she can't make it to Labor Day without sleeping with someone. So Taylor offers to give Avery flirting lessons. It should keep her busy and stop her from texting people that she shouldn't. And it might take her mind off of how inadequate she feels compared to her friends, who all seem more settled and and more adult than Taylor. At first, Avery is stiff and nervous, but Taylor is patient and encouraging, and soon Avery is looking forward to their weekly lessons. With Taylor's help, Avery finally has the life she's always wanted. The only issue is now she wants Taylor too, and if you're looking for like a trope or something like that, this would be considered friends to lovers, I think. And so this was a very quick read. I flew through this. It was hard for me to put down. I just wanted to know what was going to happen, what they were going to be up to. I thought that the flirting lessons aspect of it was very cute, and how they would meet up weekly for basically like these friend dates where Taylor would get Avery to do something to kind of step out of her comfort zone and, you know, get comfortable flirting and other things. I thought that that was a very cute concept that I really enjoyed. I found myself being able to relate to both Avery and Taylor. I feel like they both represented the different sides of who I am as a person, and you know, I really enjoyed that. I really like the way that Jasmine Guillory's books are subtly related, and they're not technically interconnected standalones, but you do get cameos from other characters in books, because Taylor was a character in her last release, Drunk on Love, and we also see cameos from the couple from that book, because Avery is, I think his name was Luke, she's his best friend. So it all kind of connects, but not in a way that you have to read all of her books in order, but it's just like those subtle nods that if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you're not missing anything at all. And I really enjoy that. But if you do want a little bit of context or anything about the world, or meet some of these characters beforehand, then you can pick up Drunk on Love by Jasmine Guillory. But I definitely think that you could read Flirting Lessons and be completely fine, and go back and read Drunk on Love and not feel like anything was spoiled for you or anything like that. Of course, that is your choice on what you want to do. I did have some issues with this book, and it had nothing to do with how this was written and everything to do with the characters within this book. Taylor has a best friend named Erica, and me and Erica got beef. I do not like Erica, okay? And I just honestly wish that Taylor would friend break up with Erica, because she ain't her friend, in my opinion. So she is very passive aggressive. She is always constantly making jokes about how Taylor doesn't take life seriously, and Taylor's just always thinking about sex and always thinking about who she's gonna date next, and Taylor doesn't take life seriously, and she just kind of very passive aggressively knocks Taylor down. And it's just like, Erica recently got married and they bought a house, and now she's pregnant, and she feels like now that she's got her life together and has become an adult, she's pressuring Taylor to do the same thing. And I'm like, just because you do those three things, get married, buy a house, or, you know, and have a baby, like that doesn't make you an adult. And just because Taylor doesn't think she wants those things, or you know, whatever, that doesn't make her any less of an adult or less put together. And that pissed me off. And also some of the things that she ends up saying to Taylor, and the way that she was acting towards Taylor, like it wasn't giving friend from Erica. It gave almost like, I want you to be like me, or like slick jealous that you seem to be having more fun at life than I am, even though I have other things that you're supposed to have as an adult. Negative. I also thought that our conflict that happened between Avery and Taylor was a bit annoying, because it wasn't exactly miscommunication. It was like no communication, and just making assumptions about what you think the other person wants or will do. So you're trying to get to them before they get to you, so your feelings won't get hurt or something like that. And I'm just like, is no communication worse than miscommunication? Maybe. I didn't like that. And it felt like it wasn't even a serious enough conflict to cause the amount of things that it caused, if that makes sense. I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy it. Mm-mm. I didn't. And, it felt like towards the end of the book, Jasmine Guillory tried to give Erica a redemption arc, and I'm not here for it. She doesn't get one with me. I don't think she deserved a redemption arc because she just was not. Some of the things that she did, she would not be able to come back from if this was a real life situation. But I do like that Taylor and Avery were kind of opposites attract, and it wasn't the opposites attract to where it's like not even believable, but it was the kind that you're like, oh, they actually do complement each other in a way that's believable, and it felt cute. And I think that Jasmine Guillory's first sapphic book was a success, and I'm very happy about that because I was nervous. I was nervous about my good sis in her sapphic debut, and I really wanted it to be good, and I'm really happy that it was. I rated this a 4-star. Like I said, there were some things that I didn't love, but overall this was a very good love story, a very good sapphic book. The spicy scenes felt realistic, and I was good with them. Yeah, 4 stars. This is a very good popcorn read, and I am happy that I picked it up and I have now read it. Let's talk about I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue. The journey that I have been on with this book is this book is part of the reason why this video took so long to come out, if I'm going to be honest. I started reading this book in May. And I mean, in May. And I just finished it this month. It's July. So yeah, let's get into it because we got a lot to talk about. Okay, so to start off, I Hope This Finds You Well is supposed to be this wildly funny and heartwarming office comedy where an admin worker accidentally gains access to her colleagues' private emails and DMs and decides to use this intel to save her job. A laugh till you cry debut novel you'll be eager to share with your entire list of contacts. As far as Jolene is concerned, her interactions with her colleagues should start and end with her official duties as an admin for Super Shops Inc. Unfortunately, her irritating, incompetent coworker can't talk. Unfortunately, her irritating, incompetent coworkers don't seem to understand the importance of boundaries. Her secret to survival, she vents her grievances in petty email postscripts, then changes the color of the text to white so no one can see. That is, until one of her secret messages is exposed. Her punishment sensitivity training, led by the suspiciously friendly HR guy, Cliff, and rigorous email restrictions. When an IT mix-up grants her access to her entire department's private emails and DMs, Jolene knows she should report it, but who could resist reading what her coworkers are really saying? And when she discovers layoffs are coming, she realizes this might just be the key to saving her job. The plan is simple: gain her boss's favor, convince HR she's Super Shop's material, and beat out the competition. But as Jolene is drawn further into her coworkers' private worlds and secrets, her carefully constructed walls begin to crumble, especially around Cliff, who she definitely cannot have feelings for. Soon she will need to decide if she's ready to leave the comfort of her cubicle, even if that means coming clean to her colleagues. Crackling with laugh out loud dialogue and relatable observations, I Hope This Finds You Well is a fresh and surprisingly tender comedy about loneliness and love beyond our computer screens. And I read all of that for a reason. It's gonna come back around, okay? Let me get my notes. So, first of all, I was reading this while I was at work and it just felt very meta. And I don't know if that kind of like hurt my experience or not, but it was just teen too much. Okay. It was teen too much and it made me not want to pick this book up. But also, the main thing, how many times did you hear me say comedy, laugh out loud, funny, all of that, right? The first sentence in the synopsis says wildly funny and heartwarming office comedy. This book was sad, all caps, because Jolene has a lot of social anxiety and had some trauma from some things that happened to her when she was growing up. And on top of that, the way that everyone in the office treated Jolene was just very sad. And also, like, she was relatable because, I mean, who at this point doesn't, have some form of anxiety being around people, but also just seeing the level of her anxiety and her thoughts. This was sad. It had a very sad, I don't even want to say undertone, because it was very like overtly sad. And that was part of the reason why it took me so long to get through this, because I'm like, I thought I was signing up to hee hee ha ha at some relatable workplace comedy. I didn't know that I was signing up to be sad along with Jolene and just feel so sorry for her and just to like see her loneliness and her desperation and just like her anxiety was giving me anxiety. And I'm like, that's not what I signed up for. And I don't think that's what y'all are advertising, right? Okay. So I ended up setting this book down one day and I didn't pick it back up for about 2 weeks. And the problem was I wasn't sure if I wasn't having a good time or if the overall sadness of this was just like not working out for me, because I ended up going into like a flare up shortly after that. And so I'm like, maybe it's just my mood. Maybe I just need to sit it down and, like come back to it when I'm in a better mood, because like I already don't like reading sad things. And then for me to be sad and then try to read something sad. No, when I'm sad, I turn on my sad girl playlist, not go read a sad book. It's different, but it's the same. Okay. I mean, it's the same, but it's different. Yeah. When I set it down, I was about 35% in and I picked it back up, but I picked it up via the audiobook because I felt like I needed to be able to do other things besides like to sit and focus in on this sad book. Like I had to do something to distract myself while like I'm paying attention to the plot, but I'm just not as involved as I am when I'm like eyeball reading. And I ended up liking it. If y'all can see, like my nose is red. I just changed my nose rings and it's a little sore. It's a little hurting. But I liked it more. I feel like, it did become more hopeful as it went on and didn't seem as sad. It picked up, I guess we can just put it that way. And having the audiobook actually really helped because the narrator like was perfect for Jolene and her personality, and I thought that was good. And so I ended up finishing this finally in July, right? But I didn't like the ending. Did all of that, spent 2 months, right? May, June, July, yeah, 2 months and some change reading this book only to not like the ending. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, this is out of order. This is book 2 in this vlog because I started reading it second, but it ends up being the third fourth. No, it was either the fourth or the fifth book that I read for this vlog. Okay, so spoiler alert. Yeah. So I'm just so annoyed at this point that I ended up not liking the ending. It was very unsatisfying, but I was happy that Jolene did decide to get the help that she needed and, like get herself together. I was very happy to see that, but it felt like everybody like had a perfect, almost unrealistic ending to their story. And I just didn't like it. Now, usually I want things like, tied up into a pretty bow, but this was like not even realistic in my opinion. And it just felt fake. It felt like everybody was just faking, faking what they were feeling just to get along with each other. But it could be the point because that's what people do when they work together, I don't know. This just was not a pleasant experience for me. I think I ended up rating this either a 2 or a 2.5 star. It was so disappointing, and I just am kind of annoyed with myself that I didn't DNF, but I if you keep watching, you'll see why I did not DNF. Yeah. And so a good time was not had, but we move. Okay, so I am ready to talk about The Poisons We Drink by Bethany Baptiste. This is a YA fantasy where we are following our main character, Venus, who is in the business of making illegal love potions. In this world, there are witchers and there are humans, and there is a great divide between the two. The humans are, not very fond of the witchers, but of course they want to use their services when they need them. And so Venus's mother ends up dying and her life kind of explodes. She ends up now having to take care of her younger sister Janice and, taking on more responsibility. And the Grand Witcher offers Venus the chance to punish her mother's killer. But she has to pay a steep price for this revenge. She has to brew poisonous potions to enslave DC's most influential politicians in order to pass legislation that will protect witchers for years to come. And as Venus crawls deeper into the corrupt underbelly of her city, the line between magic and power blurs, and it's hard to tell who to trust, herself included. Now, I was skeptical going into this just because I didn't really know what to expect, and it just sounded a little different from what I am, used to reading. So I was skeptical going in, but once I started, it gave me vibes of the Blood Like Magic duology by Lucilla Samberry, which is one of my favorite series. I love that duology so much. So if you are a fan of that, and you haven't read this, I suggest you check it out, or vice versa. If you've read this and haven't read Blood Like Magic, then I think the two are very comparable titles and something, you know, that you might like. I originally started out tandem reading this along with the audiobook, but look, the author, no, the narrator's voice for Venus's younger sister Janice, oh, it was so annoying. It was like grating on my ears, but I understand why she was doing it, because Janice is such an annoying character to me. She is younger sibling coded, seriously. Like, Janice was so annoying, and so I completely understand why the audiobook author decided to make her voice annoying, because it just fit perfectly, but I couldn't do it. I was already struggling with Janice, so I was like, I can't listen to this audiobook. So I had to put the audiobook down, but Janice did not get any less annoying to me. This book brought out a lot of emotions for, well, a lot of emotions, I guess is the right word, but a lot of just thoughts as well. And I'm looking down at my notes because I was writing things down as I was reading because I didn't want to forget. But it is always just so sad to see people being manipulated into situations, and they're knowing that they're being manipulated into these situations, but they have no other options, whether it is because they're poor and they need money, or because of unfair power dynamics, or just a crappy situation, and seeing people knowingly getting manipulated into these just breaks my heart. And I hate it so much, especially with Venus, because she had to grow up so fast, and it just always breaks my heart to see kids not be able to be kids for whatever reason. Because even though she was 18, like, that's a kid to me. Like, you're not like fully an adult or grown when you're 18, and now she has to not only take over this illegal family business with these manipulative, dangerous adults, but also she has to now take responsibility for her younger sister Janice, and it just feels like she has the weight of everybody on her shoulders, and it's so unfair. Like, it's just so unfair. And it really just, like, on top of not really having a supportive, loving parent anyway, like, her mom felt like her boss more than her mom, and so to not have that, and then to have to step into like a parent role yourself, like, ugh, all the things, it made me feel so much for Venus. Now, if you are going to pick up this book, I highly, highly, highly suggest that you read the author's note at the beginning of this book, because it just puts it into such a deeper context. She talks about the period in which she wrote this book and how she just, that's weird. I opened the book and it is upside down, y'all. I put the dang cover on upside down. Anyway, in this really trying time in our country, and just the frustration and the anguish and the sadness and the grief that she felt, you can feel all of that in this book, and you can see it in the characters and the situations that's going on, and it just makes everything like that much more like wow. And I usually am not one for like author's notes and stuff like that, but I am glad that I took the time to read that one, because like I said, it just adds so much more to this story and what it means and all the things. So be sure to read the author's note if you do pick this up. This is also a mystery. It's a murder mystery, because like it is mentioned in the synopsis, Venus's mother dies, and well, she's killed, and so of course Venus is out on a witch hunt for the killer, trying to find the person who murdered her mom, and that's how she ends up entangled with the Grand Witcher. And the reveal to this mystery, It was both shocking and underwhelming at the same time, because it was shocking because I wasn't expecting it, but I wasn't expecting it because it felt like we had to do a little bit of mental gymnastics to get there. Like, it just almost like I wasn't looking at this person as a suspect because it almost didn't make sense for them to be a suspect. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go with. So I was just a little like, and because of that, I'm going to give this a 4-star rating. I usually have to check myself when I am reading YA in general, because I can't get frustrated at teenagers for doing teenage things. This is a book about teenagers, so of course they're gonna do some dumb shit because that's what teenagers do. So like, I can't get upset when I chose to read a book that I am not the target demographic for, you know? So yeah, this is a 4-star read for me. I will definitely be recommending it. Oh, I forgot that I wanted to say, as annoying as Janice was for like the first portion of this book, at a certain point she just up and disappeared. We didn't hear anything about Janice, and then she just pops back up. But I'm like, she popped back up too late for me, and she should have come back sooner. She shouldn't have been gone as long as she was when she was made to be such a big part of the story from the beginning. It just felt weird that we went so long without her being a part of the story when she was such a big part of it from the beginning, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that also factored into my rating. But yeah, this is a great book. I think this will be a great book for, you know, the YA audience that it was written for, but I also think adults can take something from this as well. I really enjoyed my experience with this, and I really hope that more people decide to give it a shot because it was a good surprise. Yeah. So friends, I'm coming with not so great news, and that is I have decided to DNF How to Outwit a Wizard at about 37% in. I was roughly 123 pages into this when I just had to give up, okay? I had to give up because it wasn't working for me. And this is about Blair, who has spent most of her life working in her family's magical bookshop, and the family's magic has started failing. And the only way to kind of rectify that is for Blair to get married and kind of join her magic with another family's magic. And so the only way that we just know how to do that is to throw a witchy ballroom dance to find the most eligible suitor. Well, Blair has this power that I never found out exactly what it was because I didn't read far enough in, but it usually pushes people away rather than to bring them in, and people are kind of scared of Blair and what she can do. Everybody except for Devlin. Okay, so Blair and Devlin went to school together and they had this relationship. Something happened and they ended up breaking up, but now Blair hates Devlin. Secretly, neither of them have gotten over each other, but Blair absolutely wants nothing to do with Devlin. And so a magical spell goes terribly wrong, and Devlin and Blair end up switching powers Freaky Friday style. Okay. And so they are upset, and basically Devlin makes her a deal. He will help her win the man of her dreams if she helps him build his latest invention. And this is too big of an opportunity for Blair to give up. But will Devlin reveal the secret that tore them apart, or will he push Blair into the arms of another man and give her up forever? Okay, it sounds like a cute ass setup. I love Freaky Friday. Like, we used to watch that movie all the time growing up. So I was like, ooh, witchy Freaky Friday? Yes, sign me up. No. First of all, my main issue with this is that I did not like Blair. I I didn't like Blair. The only reason why I kept pushing is because I had reached the Freaky Friday part. And so I was like, ooh, okay, yeah. Even though being in Blair's head and knowing that Blair is the main character, it's very hard to like a book when you don't like the main character, you don't like being in their head, and it's very hard to get through a book with positive feelings if you feel that way towards the main character. But I was so curious about the plot and so sure that the whole Freaky Friday situation could turn it around for me that I kept pushing until I couldn't push anymore, which is when I decided to DNF. Blair felt very judgy. She felt very annoying. She had a lot to say about everybody. But on the same end of that, feel some type of way that people judge her because of the magical gift that she has. And maybe if I had kept reading, I could have found out more about that. But it just felt like in her head, she's always talking crap about people. And I don't like it. I don't like that. And I also did not enjoy that every time she said a word, she said a sentence to Devlin. Okay. Every time she said a sentence to Devlin, she spoke about how she insinuated that he only cared about sex, that he just ran through women, and he's just this foul, awful human being who didn't have any feelings. And okay, you feel that way? Okay, but literally it was mentioned in every sentence that she spoke to him. And I'm like, girl, I get that he hurt your feelings. I get that he broke your heart or whatever. But like every sentence, every sentence, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't make myself care enough. Mm-mm. So yeah, uh, mm-mm. I gave up. And I'm kind of irritated that I did because like I said, I felt like it could have gave cute. It could have gave something. But Blair was not the main character for me. And now I'm questioning whether I'm going to continue on in this series because it is the 7 suitors for 7 witches. There's 7 siblings, so I'm assuming there's going to be 7 books. But now I just don't even know. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to see what the synopsis is of the 3rd book and kind of, I guess, go from there. I think they're technically interconnected standalones, so I won't be, missing any plot by not finishing this one. But I didn't exactly love the 1st book in the series anyway. I just thought it was a cute, fun time. So this might be it for me for this series. But anyway, that was sad. And I didn't like it. So do with that information what you will. If it does sound good to you, I mean, go ahead and give it a shot. I'm not going to tell you to not try something just because I didn't vibe with it. But yeah, that's just what I thought about it. So, guess that means we're going to have to add another book to this video. Yeah, and I wasn't trying to do that, but here we are. Okay, so let us talk about my thoughts on Mutual Interest by Olivia Wolfgang-Smith. So, this is a story that takes place at the turn of the 20th century, and we are following 3 main characters. We follow Vivian, who is determined to flee Utica, New York. She wants a life of glamour, a life of just things to do in a different life from what her parents had. She kind of grew up in like a rural area. They didn't really have much, and she just wanted more for herself. So through a series of events, she meets Oscar, who is a middle manager at a soap company, and she feels like Oscar is the type of man that she wants to marry because she can manipulate and kind of control Oscar without him really realizing what's going on. And also, Vivian is a lesbian and Oscar is gay. So it'll essentially be a lavender marriage where each of them can do what they want to do, but present this to the public because, of course, during this time, people are peopling, and the alphabet mafia, you just didn't do the things that we are able to do today. So they needed that cover. Vivian is deciding to basically use Oscar to help him create this soap company, personal care company, because that's the industry that he was in when they met, and they need money to do that. And so the money is going to come from Squire, who he's old money. Okay, he old money, he got it. Okay, and he is kind of a weird guy, and his parents kind of keep him hidden because of his eccentricities. And so eventually what happens is that they end up founding Clancy and Schmidt, which is a manufacturer of soap, perfume, and candles. And then eventually Oscar and Squire end up falling in love, and so they have this weird trio of a situation going on because Vivian and Oscar are married, but Oscar and Squire are actually together, and the three of them kind of own this business together. But also, because women couldn't front businesses, well, they could. Because of the treatment of women back then as well, Vivian was running the show, but the two men were getting all the credit. Okay, all right. So I had to kind of read through the synopsis with you on that, so I did not ruin the story for you. Okay, now that we have that foundation, let me tell you what I thought about this. I was super excited to pick this up because I'm like, ooh, we get to read about a lavender marriage. We get to, see how this is all going to work out. They're building this company together. It just sounded like a lot of things were going to be happening, and a lot of interesting things at that. I have my notes. So right off, I really enjoyed the writing style and how we started off with the backstories of each of the three characters. I think that gave us a lot in the sense of why they behaved like they did as adults, and it just kind of added a lot to the story and their overall character growth. I definitely found that Oscar's journey when it comes to his queerness and how religion played a part in that, found him very relatable, and I think a lot of people would be able to relate to that as well, just as I think that a lot of people would be able to relate to Vivian's story also. I did notice that when it came to Squire, we didn't really, learn about his queer journey. It just kind of popped up that Oscar and Squire were together, and so I would have liked to learn a little bit more about his journey, but it's okay, I guess. What I did not like and what confused me, so I got the ebook from Libby, and I don't know if this happens in like the physical book as well, but when we got to part 2, the chapter numbers started over at 1. And it's a very small thing to gripe about, but like when you're reading a book, you like to see yourself making progress. I like to see the chapter numbers going up, part numbers going up, pages going up, the actual page amount going down. And like when you start me all the way over at chapter 1 for part 2, it just made me feel some type of way. And I don't know why we made that decision, but I just wasn't a fan of it. Okay. I ain't like that. I loved seeing a woman make things happen for herself. And Vivian was on her grind, okay? She knew the life that she wanted and she did what she had to do to make that happen. And I love a woman that is going to make it happen for herself. But it also sucks that she just can't do these things outright because she is a woman. Like, I was really disappointed in how the old lavender marriage was represented and what that even looked like. I just wanted more, and I thought it could have been done better. No shade on tea, but this felt like a lavender marriage perspective written by a man. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. And then lastly, friends, this ending pissed me off. I did not like this ending. And if I'm being just completely transparent, I would not have read this book if I knew it was going to end like this. Because the ending, in my opinion, was truly awful. I did not like how Vivian's story ended. I don't feel like it made sense, even for her as a character. I just feel like she deserved so much more. And it made me really, really not like Oscar and Squire. And I just, I feel like I just didn't like it. And I was just so disappointed in this book overall because reading the synopsis, it just sounded like there was so much room for like this to be a great story, a great queer story. And so I rated this a 2.5 because I think I really enjoyed the first part of it, maybe the first third I really enjoyed, but like I said, once we actually got into it, it's a no for me. So yeah, a 2.5 star. I This pink cover vlog is putting me through the ringer, okay? And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, friends. So let's go ahead and wrap up this video because baby, it's gone on long enough. It's gone on long enough and it needs to be finished. Okay. So we read Flirting Lessons, which was a 4.0. We read I Hope This Finds You Well, a 2.5. The Poisons We Drink, also a 4 star. And then we rounded out with Mutual Interest being a 2.5 star, which makes our average rating for the pink covers a 3.25. And that also means that pink is now currently in last place compared to blue and green. I just glad this is over and I'm very excited to go into a new color. What that color will be as of right now, I have not decided, but I think I am going between 3 colors and it's just going to basically be logistical how I pick between these three. The book, making sure that I can like get the books, whether that's from the library or whatever, if I have a list already. So I'm thinking it'll either be purple, black, or yellow. And I'm thinking I want to stay in the summer colors and maybe save black for like the fall. But like I said, it's just going to be logistical how that all works out. But thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, anything that you do to support me and my channel. It is very, very appreciated. I hope that you have the best day that you possibly can. Remember to take care of yourself. It's a lot of stuff going on out here, and we just need to be taking care of ourselves mentally, but also physically as well. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.